Maybe this will work. There's my contact information there. My website, gracecyberdefense.com. My phone number, 850-291-7506. So my presentation today is basically going to be a little bit about me, a little bit about the future, and kind of what my perspective is on Pensacola's future based on the time that I've been here and kind of the work that I do. So a little bit about us, small little snapshot of my family. They're very important to me. Two of my kids are not pictured here. One's living in Texas. The other one is busy with her college life. So I didn't have a more recent picture, so I went with this one. I was in the Army for 8 years. I was 5 years with the 1st Infantry Division. I was MI out there. This is my favorite unit. I had the most fun there. So that's why I mentioned them. And then this is what I do now. I know computers, basically. More specifically, I work with things like this, Snort, a security product out there. It's an intrusion detection system. Things also such as Wireshark, network protocol analyzers, and Security Onion, which is kind of a combination, it's an operating system that is a combination of a bunch of security products. All of them are for free out there. This is what I teach other people how to use right now. Sorry about that. So cybersecurity is not thought about until it's needed. I'm sure everybody probably remembers TJX whenever that happened a couple years back. Equifax was obviously a big one that a lot of people worried about. Specifically for me, OPM was a big one. I was in the military. I had a clearance, so whenever I got my letter saying that my stuff had been taken, I was not very happy. Who's able to afford cybersecurity? Well, you would expect people like these are able to afford cybersecurity, so why don't they have it? Everyone is affected by cyber threats. Me, you guys, everybody, we hear about identity theft all the time. That's just on an individual level, not including companies that hold people's data. Is this going to take 6 minutes? Well, we're going to find out. Size does not matter. Anybody hear about this? The breach of Jason's Deli here locally in Pensacola? A couple of people heard about that whenever their systems got taken down. Well, this happened, or this was released anyway, in January of this year. They found out about it in December 22nd. Based on their analysis of whenever this stuff basically started, what they could find out was this was all the way back in June of 2017. It took them almost 7 months to actually get the information, figure it out, and then release it to everybody, letting people know what happened. So if anybody's been there in the last 7 or 8 months, you know, maybe watch your stuff. The big point is, when's the last time you checked your stuff? When's the last time you had your IT guys or somebody like me come in and verify that your stuff is good to go? What's new? Pensacola's growing, right? We've got the new apartment buildings. That's just a nice little snapshot that I liked. YMCA is great. We now get to pay for parking on the weekends, which is always fun, right? And has anybody ever heard of I-10 Wired? A couple of people, IT Gulf Coast? Awesome. So they're a great little group out here that puts together the I-10 Wired stuff every year. This year it's coming up in October. They should have released that information recently. I'm a part of their group. I pay attention to what they're doing, try to go to all the events that I'm able to. So what is my role? My role is primarily small businesses. The stuff I've been working for recently has been mostly small clinics, like healthcare, HIPAA related stuff. A little bit of story of why I started this. Whenever I had my first customer, it cost me for 3 hours worth of work, $200 to get all of the stuff that they needed done to be HIPAA compliant. Right across the street from them was a hospital. This is in Eastland, Texas, a town of less than 4,000 people. Another guy from another company, from another small company, a little bigger than mine, charged that hospital 25 grand to do the exact same thing I did. Once I got a lot of the information from one of my sources with that company, I figured out what it would cost me to do it, between $2,000 and $3,000. Same amount of time, same process is used, still getting all the way to HIPAA compliant. I find that ridiculous. So that's why I'm here. All right, so the last presenter talked a little bit about training. That's something that I'm really into as well. I think everybody needs to have training on this stuff. So when we're talking about niche security and training, right, not everybody's IBM, not everybody's Google. We can't all be that big. So niche people like me doing small businesses. I also, like I said, focus on healthcare, but there can be companies that do this as, you know, specifically just healthcare related stuff. Law firms are obviously pretty small in this area, kind of in general. Food industry, again, Jason's Deli. It would probably have been good for them to have somebody that was really smart on PCI to actually come in and do that stuff. So for the training, one of my blogs that I have on my website was about if cybersecurity is really a priority, why isn't it a priority from day one? Again, thinking about the small businesses. Pensacola's state of growth, we have to not just worry about cybersecurity, but how are we going to get more people into cybersecurity? Most of the high schools around here have their own little cybersecurity, or not cybersecurity, but like a cyber academy, and as well as the local colleges, right? PSC, UWF has been in the news a lot lately for their NSA certification that they just received. Smart people, critically thinking people, a lot of athletes have to be smart, right? Pensacola is known for athletes, right? Emmitt Smith, just being a great one. Go Cowboys. We have the resources to do this. Now we have to present the opportunity. Most of the time you're going to learn best, people like me anyway, learn best from hands-on, right? That's what I like doing. I like hands-on learning. There's a lot of online options, a lot of local colleges, like I mentioned UWF. I'm currently going to APUS, and it's not as hands-on as I was like. I'm not a big fan of kind of the way that they're doing the online stuff. Mechanics, carpenters, they all have local options for tech schools generally to go in and actually learn their job, get hands-on experience to do it. A computer and a network can kind of be thought of as a car, right? We got IT guys that are mechanics, you got specialists like me who are able to focus on certain security aspects. So my long-term goal is something like this. An actual Gulf Coast technical school, potentially located here in Pensacola or somewhere nearby, to give people that cheaper option, people that can't go to UWF because they don't have the grades or they don't have the ability to get a scholarship. Instead of getting in all that debt, come get in debt here and actually get a skill that's going to get you paid a lot of money in a bigger city potentially. All right, so that's basically the end of what I have to talk about. Does anybody have any questions for me?
How many customers or clients do you have today, and how many of them are kind of recurring, buying services from you month to month?
Okay, so right now I am still in the growing phase. I have another business that I work for. I'm not the owner of that one, obviously, but I've got somebody else I work for full time to kind of pay for a lot of what I'm doing now, the marketing and such. I've got one company that I deal with on a yearly basis. I update them on new things. They get with me. It's not necessarily a full-time deal with them. I'm still in the growing phases when it comes to that, so I'm looking to get a lot of local businesses and hopefully starting that up pretty soon. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, say again, ma'am?
Can you help with the NIST 800-171 compliance?
I absolutely can. I'd have to do a little more research in it because I haven't gotten as in-depth into that as I should. But yes, it is something that I've got on my list of things I'm going to be looking into. Yes, sir.
Have you looked, are there some smaller, like nonprofits doing anything like this around here?
So I've heard at some of the IT Gulf Coast events that I go to that they have every month, I have heard people talking about it, but I can't say for sure if there's anyone specifically going out trying to do what I'm doing. Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about the companies? I know once a company contacted me and then they kind of highlighted some stuff on my computer to show where I had been invaded.
Right.
And then they offered this service for, I think it was 176 or something like that. They were connected with Microsoft, or they were a small company, and I guess they got some exclusive rights to call Microsoft customers.
Okay. Was that, did they actually come to you and they talked to you about that? Was this like your...
They emailed me and then they called. And then they showed highlighted, while I was on the phone, they highlighted and showed me where my computer had been.
Okay. And you authorized them to do that? Like they didn't get on your computer?
No, I didn't authorize it, but they give you this outline to show you how they can protect you.
Okay. That immediately sounds a little fishy to me. I would recommend not working with somebody like that if they're claiming things like that, because usually Microsoft doesn't put that stuff out unless they're a certified reseller, and even then you have to give them authorization to get on your computer, and unless you have that set up, that's usually not something they're able to do. So if you want to get with me afterwards, we can talk about who that was and maybe see what that problem was. Yes, sir.
You mentioned in your competition there, or you the competition to the $25,000 company. Do you find that, I mean, I think a hospital is hiring a $25,000 contractor because of their reputation.
Yes.
Although you can do the same thing. How do you plan to jump that hurdle?
So I plan to jump that hurdle by getting my reputation out there and getting it better. For the case of that hospital, like I said, it was in a very small town. They see maybe 4,000 people. That's the population. That hospital has 3 doctors and 5 nurse practitioners. So again, small hospital, small business. I don't think a small business, even if it's a hospital, I understand there's a lot of money in the healthcare industry and how they get paid. That's still a ridiculous amount to charge somebody for doing a basic policy review, network check, and consulting with their IT guys to make sure that their network is HIPAA compliant. There's no reason to charge that much at all. Yes?
So maybe this is kind of a brain meshing the two presentations together, but do you also provide, you go in and you do like an analysis and you look at the systems, do you assist on the process side as well? Do you help a company implement good practices? Do you have documentation that you provide them or help them write? Would you implement proper channel when you press in order to document this process? Just on that ongoing process side, as opposed to just the one-time diagnostic.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I did for the other business I worked for is I helped actually create some of the policies they were missing, as well as working with their IT guys who didn't have any policies of their own. So I had to develop all of that for them, get it all to them, and then I keep a working copy, they keep a working copy. I was actually thinking about this proper channel thing while he was presenting, like, oh, that would make my life easier with these remote customers. So yes, absolutely, that'd be something I'd be looking into doing.
You mentioned PCI. Is that something that you do?
That is something that I'm getting into. HIPAA is what I've been doing mostly, as well as government work. I'm starting to get into the PCI stuff, learning more about it, and getting certified on it, hopefully.
It occurs to me there is probably a gap in the school, because we had I'm trying to think of the name of the company, but it was a national firm. We had one here in Pensacola, 3 of them in Atlanta, and they did training, kind of like what you're talking about here, in a non-college environment. And they tried to teach people, but they unfortunately went bankrupt. So we lost that school here. It was up on 9th Avenue, IT Tech. So you're probably familiar with them. So I think you might be onto something with the gap of training. And since we lost that school, then obviously there's people that are going to maybe not want to go the college route, but want to go a different school and training route.
Right, absolutely. That's what I was thinking about. One of the friends I work with right now actually used to be over at that ITT Tech deal whenever they went out of business. So yeah, I did hear quite a bit about that. But yes, that's absolutely what I was thinking. And it's, for me, with all the technicals I've spoken to anyway from in other industries, a big thing of what they do is they also provide you the opportunity for a job during or after you're completed, right? They at least guarantee you an interview or something like that with a company. If I could get something like this started, if I have local business customers, I can bring local people in to do these local jobs, getting them that experience they need, so that way when they do want to get a bigger, better job, they've got the skill. They're not just stuck with, here's my certifications. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So for smaller businesses that don't necessarily deal with HIPAA compliance or really sensitive data, where does your company come into play? Do you come in and just see if you've been invaded, or would you write policies if the company doesn't have an IT person per se?
Yes, I would be fully willing to do the policy thing. When it comes to not dealing with sensitive data, I can't think of a company industry that would not be dealing with some type of personal data, whether it's customer records, whether it's customer payment information, anything like that. There's going to be sensitive data. So the big thing is knowing it exists. If you own a business, it's there. Being able to secure that is what I'm worried about, making sure that it's not being freely released to everybody who just wants to come by with a Wi-Fi sniffer and pick up on the local Wi-Fi. Yes, sir.
In the credit card processing space, believe me, every business these days has very sensitive information. Every time you swipe a card, that terminal, or however they're processing, either contains it or serves to contain tremendous amounts of information.
Yep.
Where the PCI comes in, which a lot of small businesses don't understand how important PCI is. It's just kind of a little annual pain in the butt. I mean, the examples of breaches are all over, but it's like, oh, well, it's never gonna happen to me, or they don't even understand that it could happen.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Any? Yes, sir.
So do you feel like you have the resources you need to get your business to the next level? Is Pensacola giving you what you need as an entrepreneur?
Well, for the moment, that's more on me. I haven't done as much marketing as I need to just because of other obligations that I've been having. This is kind of my first actual marketing to people in the local area. This is my first experience with that. So I feel that I'm going to get there. Most of what this has started with is all from my personal expense from my other job. So the hope is that, yes, I will be able to get the right connections, to get the right resources to help make Pensacola safer when it comes to the cyber realm. Yes, sir.
Can you tell me a little bit about your process flow when you go into a company? You mentioned using SNOR and protocol analyzers and such, but how are you going to ensure to them that they haven't been hacked or if they have, that they haven't, when it happened and all of the other instances? Are you developing your own SNOR signatures for the different pieces, or are you just kind of using the off-the-shelf subscriptions?
Right. So, all right, you know what, never mind. So basically with what I'm doing, it all depends on the situation. Some people have IT, like the people that I was working with down in Texas, but a lot of people don't necessarily have a dedicated IT company. They don't have the backups that they need for me to be able to check those things. So with that is mostly about getting them started, right? Getting them started thinking about, hey, you need to have an IT person, or I can replace temporarily an IT person to at least get you in the process of thinking about it, getting these backups stored. So in a lot of cases, they don't have what I need to perform the analysis, at first anyway, but we discussed that all in the initial consultation. After that, it's moving into, like I said, a lot of this stuff that I use is free as far as what I train with, and a lot of it is useful to my analysis on how to make all that stuff work. I would absolutely consider looking into making specific things like store signatures and stuff for any big problems that come out, but it's really difficult whenever it comes to smaller businesses being able to convince them that that's something they need just because it's not ever been at the forefront of their mind.
Yeah, well, my concern is a lot of smaller businesses, they'll have their own whatever type of server going on, they'll have their own API going on, or whatever inventory system or whatnot. I wasn't sure if you were constructing the signatures to match those, or if you were just saying, here's a package. And so what I'm getting though is your ideal customer is greenfield completely, where they need your processes, they need your intellectual property, and they need some sort of monitoring system.
Right, absolutely. So it would be, a lot of it would be initially off the shelf, right? Because you got to download it and get all that right information. But I would have to set it up per customer because they're going to have their own IP ranges, their own data that they're dealing with. So yes, I would have to specifically set it up for that person at that time. And yeah, make sure that it's all working right. It'd probably take a day or two to actually get everything flowing with all of that before finally getting in the full swing of things.
Steven, in 1 million cups fashion, what can we as a community do for you?
So for me, for my company, the biggest thing that y'all can do would be spreading the word that people like me exist, that we're willing to help people. And even if you don't want to do that, right, maybe you don't like me, maybe you don't like the company, but you can still start talking to these new business owners that are coming up and say, hey, have you considered cybersecurity at all? Have you thought about how you're going to secure this data for your customers? Making sure you don't end up like, you know, OPM or Facebook or Jason's Deli. Letting people know that cybersecurity is a key thing that they need to be thinking about, especially today, right? Internet of Things, all the different applications you can download without necessarily thinking about it. Let them know that they need to start thinking about it. So that way when they grow and get bigger, they at least have some type of policy ready to go. That's the biggest thing. If they don't want to use me, at least get them thinking about it.